take over the man responsibilities in this family, and I'll never, ever see my mother and my sister struggle again.
Guys, I just finished this amazing interview with Brett. He's from Australia. He's straight up just killing it. He's a serial entrepreneur. This is someone who grew his business from one location to 35 locations just within the 6 months. And he also interviewed Grant Cardone. Like, it was just super, super motivational and really insightful as well. So I really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys all enjoy. I wanted to jump right on to our questions. And the first question is, can you tell me your background? Like, I know you have been like seriously killing it as an entrepreneur, but can you kind of tell me what businesses have you developed, your journey?
Yeah, certainly. So I guess from an entrepreneurial journey, because the journey dates back all the way back to when I was a kid, I suppose. You know, I've always had these entrepreneurial tendencies. I've always wanted to create and build and you know, execute upon things. And then what that sort of led into was you know, when I was a kid, I wanted extra money so I could go to the local fish and chip shop so I could buy, you know, $1 worth of jet plane lollies, and also have enough 20-cent pieces to play my favorite arcade game at the time, Street Fighter. And, you know, that's where the quest for generating income came from. You know, how do I earn more money? And I realized that the more things that you could do, the more problems you could solve with people, the more money you were able to make. My entrepreneurial journey, however, fast forward many years past from there, really started in the health and fitness space. So in the health and fitness industry, I was a personal trainer, right? I had a passion for health and fitness, and then I literally became a personal trainer myself, and that's sort of where it started from. You know, I was trading time for money still, though. I was turning up to the gym. I was having to train people to get paid, and I thought there had to be a better way that I could earn more money and leverage my time more and actually help more people as well, right? Because as a personal trainer, you can help maybe 20, 30, 40 people sort of max, right, until you start tapping out and it becomes extremely exhausting. So for me, it was about leveraging that, and the first step of leverage was, instead of training one person one-on-one, how can I train, you know, many people at the same time? So I moved into group training, which started to take off really well, which ended up leading us into, you know, building our very own franchise. So we had 35 locations of our fitness company around Australia in the first 6 months of launching the franchise. But where that really came from was, it was predicated off my ability to be able to generate business online, how to use social media, how to use, you know, marketing, I guess, to be able to attract clients to the business. So that was really my love for online marketing and digital marketing, and which led into psychology and persuasion and influence and so forth. And, you know, where we are right now, where I'm actually sitting in our the good thing about Instagram, you can sort of move your camera around. So I'm sitting in our purposely built podcast studio here, and one of my companies called Klaxon. So we're a digital growth agency, and we actually help businesses. So we partner with other businesses and brands, and we grow and scale their business profit using bespoke digital growth strategies. So that's sort of, in a nutshell, started off in the fitness space, and just, again, became really, I guess I'd say, you know, I could pat myself on my back, became pretty good at it, right? I nailed it. And it led to people asking me, hey, can you do it for me? Can you do it for me? And that's what we do now. We help hundreds of businesses around the world, you know, grow and scale and meet their commercial outcomes as well.
I see. Yeah, well, you mentioned that you own a media company, right? And it also grew very quickly. Can you tell me, like, how you grew your agency as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got 2 agencies actually that we have. Interestingly enough, we started our second agency 1 week into COVID, which was a pretty crazy time.
Wow. That's a critical time to start.
Yeah, pretty crazy time to start a new business as well, and maintain and grow another one. But yeah, so Klaxon, we started 3 years ago. Actually, July was our 3rd birthday. So, you know, a couple of weeks ago was our 3rd birthday. But how that grew so quickly was, again, you know, it's people can look at it as though, wow, how did you do it so fast? What did you do? And I can tell you that what I did was 10 years worth of understanding the industry, understanding the market, using what we do right now in my own businesses to grow and scale those, which gave me credibility within an industry, right? So what I mean by that is when we open the doors, and even to this day, 3 years in, we really haven't even done our own marketing for our own company because we haven't needed to. Because, you know, one is when you have a skill, right, when you know how to do something well, people want to know how to do that, or they would rather you do it for them, right? And that's just from the day one. As soon as we sort of open the doors here, I let a handful of people know that this is what we're doing, and then it just hasn't sort of stopped since. Because when you start achieving results and you get results, someone else wants to know how you got them results, and it just sort of becomes a perpetual thing. But how we're able to grow so quick, I think the biggest fundamental for me is, and it's always been, there has to be a faster way of doing something, right? And that's sort of an ethos that I've lived by ever since I was a kid. You know, I was always looking for a shortcut. I was always looking for the faster way how to do it, and not at the detriment of, you know, of building something sustainable either, right? So I'm not talking about how can we get there and not worry about the mess we left behind ourselves. You know, for me, it was, I'm always looking for what's that shortcut, or what's that thing that we're not seeing that could help us get there faster, which for us, again, and that gets to trickle on down through, you know, one team and then now our own clients. So it's like we're always challenging our own clients on how can we get better results faster, right? So that's how I'm able to build things fast, because I'm wired like that. I like to do things in the quickest possible way that yields to the ultimate best outcomes.
I see. Well, that's very interesting, because I think that concept of, you know, lots of trials and errors, but definitely, like definitely is a common practice, I think, especially in the digital age, right? Like, when do you know if your trial is failing? Like, if you needed to move it fast enough, but then you still kind of needed to like experiment different things. When do you know?
Yeah, great question. And the answer to that is I actually don't know, right? And let me frame that. I'm led by intuition. Like, I'm very led by my feel, my intuition, and success clues, right? I first heard that from Tony Robbins. He said that, and I was like, that makes much sense, right? And success doesn't mean always just success. In my eyes, is not just winning. It's like success can simply be you've just seen another version of something, or you've seen a different way of looking at something that you've never looked at it that way before, right? So for me, you know, you need to pay attention to two things. One is the logical sense, right? Is the data. What's the data telling you, right? Numbers don't lie. Facts don't lie, right? And facts don't care about your feelings, right? I steal that from Ben Shapiro. That was so you have to look at it from a factual perspective, and you also need to look at it from an emotional perspective as well. I think there's an element of that, you know, banging your head against the wall how many times, and what's the impact of that on you, right? So you hear this all the time. It's like, you know, it took someone. Is it Edison who created the light bulb? I think I'm not sure. Thomas Edison, I think, created the light bulb, right? Maybe not. Someone created a bloody light bulb anyway. And apparently the story is that it took him 10,000 times to get it to work, right? If you have the sustainability to be able to last 10,000 times, then I encourage you, keep going, right? But if it's killing you inside, and you've only done it 2 or 3 times, maybe that's enough for you to go, hey, maybe it's time to try something else. Right. I think the biggest problem out there in entrepreneurship right now with entrepreneurs is that there's so many people running or starting a business, and they shouldn't be, because they're not built for it. They're not made for it. You could be an all-star player on a team in another business, right? You can maybe go into that business and let some of your entrepreneurial tendencies maybe flare. You know, like I am personally non-hireable. I'm not going to be. No one's going to employ me, because I wouldn't last. I'd be a great worker for a small period of time until I got so sick of it that I had to go and do something else. But that, you know, it's super important to understand where you sit and where you lie when it comes to success and failure. Some people can take a lot more failure than others.
I see. Well, that actually relates to my other questions that's going to come up later on. But my third question will be, so I guess it leads to this question, I guess, like, how do you define, like, what makes you successful in a sustainable period of time, like not just like a one-time hit, you know, but then like for a long time?
I think that the best place to start with that question would be defining what success means. Right, because success to you might mean something different than it means to me, and it might be something different than it means to Kazzy Andrew 13, who's just joined us on here. You know, success means something different to each person.
So can we focus on capitalism success for now, just for now?
Sure, yeah. So commercial success. Yep, so reframe the question then for me. So
so in capitalism, in like definition, definition of success in capitalism, what do you think makes someone stay successful in a game?
Yeah, well, the ability to continue serving the marketplace first and foremost, right? There's a lot of one-hit wonders out there. You know, you look at people who can consistently and predictably win. And when I say win, simply serve a market, because that's what capitalism really is, right? It's, you know, I first heard this from Mondays. It's, if you want to be a billionaire, help a billion people. If you want to stay a billionaire, keep serving a billion people so they keep buying from you, right? So there's no better measure than the ability to have clients or have customers on a continual basis, right? There's a lot of, and this is the traps with a lot of people out there who understand marketing. They're really good at getting people into their ecosystem, but they're terrible at keeping them, right? Success is predicated on the results that you're able to provide continuously.
Do you have to be best, or doesn't it have to does it have to be best service whatever you provide compared to
you don't have to be the best, no, because I mean, look, do we all strive to want to be the best? Well, hopefully, right? Hopefully most businesses do. You know, we certainly want to be the #1 digital growth agency globally, right? And that means there's a number of things that we need to be doing consistently, continually. But do you have to be the best? No, not at all. You know, I mean, it all comes down to, what do you actually want, right? What's your actual outcomes? How much money do you want to be earning? What revenue do you want your business to be turning over? How many people do you actually want to serve? Like, if you want to be the best computer company in the world, you're going to take on Apple or Microsoft. But if you could be the 20th computer company in the world, you're still probably doing a couple of $100 million a year. Do you know what I mean? So this whole narrative that, you know, everyone who jumps into something has to be #1. There can only be one, right? There's only one fastest man on the planet. But number 2, 3, all the way through to 100 are absolutely fast as well, right? But it depends on, if your goal, if you wake up every morning and go, I have to be the fastest man on the planet or the fastest woman on the planet, yes, you have to be the best. So you need to live up to that.
I see. So you basically needed to define your own definition of what's being best means to you specifically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so my next question is, what do you do when you are scared of taking risks? So like, how do you fight against your own like negative self-talk or like self-doubts?
So again, I think that's a really good one again, and it depends. Resilience depends on how committed you are to achieving, you know, what you want to achieve. So the best way for me to go answer that is look at something that might have been potentially scary. I look at life through a certain lens, right, which allows me to be able to take certain actions that to most people they may deem as like terrifying, but I look at them as a calculated move. Okay, so I always weigh up the downside and weigh up the upside, and I have a look at that, and I make decisions based off that. I also make decisions, how does that align with me as a person, as a human being, right? And will I, if I fast forward 50 years and I'm on my deathbed, will I regret not taking that decision, right? That'll quickly outline to me the impact of a decision, right? And if I feel that I would regret it, I want to work on, okay, what is it that's actually stopping me from getting through this? Why am I actually not doing this? And there's always an underlying reason. There's always something. And if you can't uncover it yourself, if you can't Socratically coach yourself, meaning, you know, you be your own coach and work yourself and step yourself through it, you know, I always say, what advice would I give to a friend, or what advice would I give to my wife or my family members if they were in the exact situation with the exact same, you know, terms that I have placed in front of me right now? What would I advise them to do? Remove myself from it and logically look at it once again. So again, it goes back to that sort of, you know, the mix of logic and fact, and the other component is that emotional component. How's it going to make me feel? Right? How will I feel if I do take this decision? How will I feel if I don't? What's the worst case scenario? And then what's the best case scenario? And you can work out something in between there.
Have you always been like that, or is that something you had to develop as a being?
I believe it's ingrained in me. I come from a very interesting childhood. You know, I wasn't given the silver spoon. Grew up in a very low socioeconomic area. If I wanted anything, I had to work for it. So I've always had that resilience and the attitude of, if I want something, I've got to be the person responsible to go and achieve that. You know, but one again is I look at life through a very certain lens, and I learned very early on that being able to solve problems, you know, is going to help a lot in life. Right, so I'm what I'd call an A-class problem solver. So I'm the person, if there's problems, people will come to me, and I'll generally be able to have an answer, or I'll figure something out. Doesn't mean I know it straight away, right? That's not what I'm not a know-all, but I am figure it out all, right? I'll be something out. You send me a problem, I've got 10 solutions. So I can out-solution anyone. Right? And what I mean, if someone keeps coming up, because, you know, you get stuck in these, someone's got a problem, you provide a solution, they're like, oh yeah, but what about this? And I'm like, okay, I've got another solution. I've got another solution for that. If you can look at life through those lenses, it's going to quickly, you know, instill with you are capable of achieving anything, or what, not anything, you are capable of achieving whatever it is that you can achieve, or you would like to achieve, right?
So in order for you to have that belief, you kind of need to get that feedback from outside as well, right? Like, would it not be confidence for you to believe that you're capable if you have the feedback coming out from outside? What would you do if someone is not getting the feedback? Like, you want to believe in yourself that you're capable, but then you're struggling seeing the results. And I mean, resilience is definitely one of the very important things to have in these times. But then, you know, sometimes people could be in this state of like, oh, I just can't. It's just, you know, like, I'm not seeing any results. I've been working really hard. I've been working really long. Like, what would you say to people who are in that?
Well, look, it's, I mean, I would be really, what would I say to someone?
Or if you had any sort of, different things,
If you require external gratification, that's the fastest route for not being able to be successful, right? Because your success is only predicated on someone else's feedback to you. And about confidence comes from being able to have the courage, right? First and foremost. So have the courage to step up and do something, to create a capability. Right. So when you create a capability, that's with sets and reps. You have to trial and error. You have to trial and error a lot of the time. So you go, actually, there is proof that I can do this. If you need to gauge your success based off someone else, maybe at the starting point you might need to, right? Like if you're in athletics, for example, and you can't jump over the 1 meter high jump, you know, it doesn't matter if you think you're successful internally. If you can't get over it, well, you haven't made the marker, right? So you've got to look at what the benchmarks are and go, well, how close am I to them, right? Especially when it comes to the commercial component of business, is you do need to find some sort of benchmark. So you know where you are on a playing field, right? But that quickly needs to move into the internal confidence of you just being confident that you figure it out. So for me, the biggest reward I get is being able to internally motivate myself. Like, I'm super confident. It doesn't mean I'm good at everything, though. It means that I'll enter into something with confidence, because there's so much studies that show the ability just to have that positive, optimistic mindset first and foremost can actually help. I was actually just at a podcast with a friend of mine. He's the director of performance at the UFC and Performance Institute in Shanghai. Super talented, knowledgeable guy. He trained the Chinese Olympic team, conditioning. So he knows his stuff. And we're talking today, and I was saying to him, I said, like what's the best cold or hot therapy? And he goes, look, there's actually data to show that if you believe that cold therapy is going to be better for you, it's going to be better for you than warm therapy. If you believe that warm therapy is going to be better for you, it's going to actually be better for you, because the power of the mind is everything. Physiologically, yes, there's some adaptations that happen whether you got cold or hot therapy anyhow. But the reality is the overall success of something is predicated on the mindset that you are entering into something.
Interesting. So I'm going to actually move on to my next question, which is, sorry, I'm just going to skip one question because you kind of already answered. My next question is, so I know that you're very big on like company culture, building company culture that's motivating for your teams, right? Like, can you kind of tell me what's all about that?
Yeah, look, I mean, you're only as good as your team, right? So in order for us to be, like, I'm not going to be the number one digital growth agency. It's our team collectively. And one thing I know, like I said, I'm unemployable, right? But I also know that, no one in our team thinks like me. Okay. So I think very differently. Okay. But I also need to truly understand as a leader in a business is understand that the team think different than me. People think different than me. What makes someone excited to turn up to work might be completely different than what I'm excited about turning up to work. Right? Because we all play different roles inside the organization. But team culture is that glue. It's the nucleus of the success of your business. Show me a business that's going really, really well, that has a real terrible culture. Now, I'm sure there's the few out there, but not from a startup, not from a startup phase, growing a real growth business. It just doesn't work like that. The last thing you want to do as a fast growth business is churn and burn through staff members. I mean, just there's always a turnover effect in any company anyhow, regardless of how good your culture is. You're not going to be able to create something every single human being stay there forever, right? But there's and that we could be doing. Sorry, I cut out there.
No worries.
I've got a timer on my phone. I'm only allowed 15 minutes a day on Instagram, and we've just tapped over it. Actually, 30 minutes we've tapped over. But this is a special interview, so we'll keep going.
Okay.
But the culture is everything, right? You need to provide pathways for your team members. You need to be able to provide room for growth. You need to understand what team members actually are wanting inside their. What are they wanting professionally? But even more so, they need to understand what you're doing as a company, right? So the first 2 hours, anytime a new employee joins our team, I spend the first 2 hours of the week with them, and I simply go through where did our company start from? Why did it start? Why is it even existing? What is our vision? What is our mission? How are we going to get there? And what's the core values of a business? Right? We've moved into this world, and you'll hear it a lot in organizations, mission, vision, mission, values, which is fantastic, but you don't want it to just be a piece of paper or a line that's, said. There needs to be a complete buy-in from everyone inside the organization. So keeping a really close eye on company culture is the fastest way to help you grow a successful business.
So I think that leads back to probably like the principles you have as a leader too. Like, how do you define leaders who have high EQ, like emotional intelligence?
How do I define them, or how do I uncover them? Or I mean, emotional intelligence, it's something that I've been obsessed with for the last 6 years or so. And actually a lot longer than that, but probably more intensified the last, several years. Because when I uncovered marketing, right, 13 years ago, because I use marketing to generate business, but when you truly understand marketing and you're prepared to go to the levels beneath marketing and find out what actually is the cellular level of marketing, and that's psychology and that's human interaction, why we do what we do, and so forth. And you know, emotional intelligence is something that creates, I think, is predicated from your ability to have self-awareness first and foremost, is the ability to be able to actually see and know and witness what's happening and what's going on, and being able, you know, let your ego go, like drop the ego, is a huge one. The ego holds so many goes back because we're too stubborn, or we don't want to admit our flaws or our failures. But as soon as you can admit that you got a lot of flaws and you got a lot of failures, and so does everyone else, it's a level playing field. It's fine. You know, as a leader of a business, you don't have to be right on everything. And that's a big problem for a lot of people. I had this problem. I thought that I had to be the guy that knew everything, could solve it all the time, and I was the best person for it, and all of that stuff. You have to let that go. So, and that's all part of emotional intelligence, right? Is your ability to see something for what it is and not more than what it is super powerful. Your ability to be able to, you know, not react and actually act accordingly based off facts and based off, you know, emotion. So facts and emotion are always intertwined when it comes to that. Unless you're a robot and you can work purely factual, but no one is. Right? Other than that, you're a psychopath if you can't. You know, if you're just working purely off a data set, then, you know, emotions everywhere. So you need to juggle those.
So I think this is my final question, but I think you said something that really was triggering for me. You said that you have to kind of be acceptant to the fact that you're a leader, but you don't know everything, right? You don't have to know everything. But I think that's probably what stops a lot of us by being so like open about, like authentic about who we are, is the fact that that's gonna make us in the position of like a burnable place, right? Like, I wonder how your employees or people who follow you react to that character of you.
Yeah, look, I mean, you could only ask them to comment on that, but I can only remind that the reality is that the team out there don't want my role. They might fantasize about it, you know, in a sense that, you know, might like some of the things I am able to do in my life and things I do. But, you know, when COVID hits 3 months ago, the last position anyone in our company would have wanted to be in is mine.
Yeah.
You know, my business partners, like and you know, I joke around that with my friends, or with a specific friend, but it's really true. And a lot of entrepreneurs, the people out there who are putting their necks on the line, like, I'm not just responsible now for my own family. I'm responsible for 30 people's families. You know, that's over 100 people now that I'm responsible for directly, right? So it's my job to make sure we have business here and to make sure everything's growing and evolving and everyone's working harmoniously together. You know, it's that's what you do when you put your hand up and go, hey, I'm an entrepreneur, I want to build something. But there's also a level of comfort in that, knowing that, hey, you'd have to be a crazy person to want to take my role. And I'm open for anyone to step up and take over my role and so forth, right? But the reality is entrepreneurship, especially, I feel like real true entrepreneurs, it's not even a question as, you know, should I do something? It's like, how am I going to do it, right? Who do I need? So it's who do I need to help me do this? Because an entrepreneur should create a vision, should craft a vision, and find smarter people, or people who are willing and committed to do what's required to help be a part of this. Like, our entire team want to be a part of. We've got people from day one when we started 3 years ago, and you know, we every morning, or when a new person comes into the team, we all go around in a circle. All of us get out on the floor. We all go around and share what do we love about working at Klaxon. And 99% of people all say it's the culture, it's the people, and also the ability to be a part of something and seeing it grow. Because there's a lot of people who want to grow a business, but they will never do it because they're scared and they don't want to, and nor should they. They'd probably fuck it up because it's not part of who they are, right? So for an entrepreneur who's sitting there and they're like, oh, I'm too scared to open myself up, it's like your flaws are going to be picked up by someone else out there and vice versa. But there's a technician out there, there's someone who's really good at doing something, and they want a leader who's got the guts and determination to figure stuff out and create opportunities for them.
I see. Well, very interesting. So, Brett, I think I'm gonna let you go because you have another meeting coming up soon. That being said, thank you so much for coming today. I had like a lot of fun asking you questions, and I learned a lot today. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.